All right, so I guess we're live. We'll wait for a few more minutes before anyone actually joins, but until then, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. David Dixon. I'm the co-president of the Broadcast Meteorology Club here at State, more commonly known as NCSU Weather. So we're going to be talking a lot about what to expect today and into tomorrow and into this weekend. A lot of you have brought up a lot of different things. So we have our first viewer, welcome. Like I said, we're going to be talking a little bit about what's to expect for this weekend. We know a lot of you have been asking what to expect. You know, this is a very major event coming up. And so let me first be very clear. This is a major event and it's going to happen. To the extent of what it will happen, we're not completely sure. But leave it to us and the other meteorologists. Don't listen to really anyone you see on the internet, because it's the internet. Anyone can post anything and claim to be whoever they want. So be sure to take it either from us. We really don't care who you choose. Check out your local news station and National Weather Service, and just be sure to follow their educated assessment of this weather system. And it's going to be a very big impact. And we're actually going to talk a little bit more in depth about this. Let me go to our screen share real quick. And I'm going to share some things with you in just a moment. So this is actually what the National Weather Service put out earlier today. They had a whole briefing for Central North Carolina into Thursday night and through Saturday. And so this goes to show how threatening this storm actually is. It is a life-threatening storm. Certain places are going to hit a lot more. Fortunately, Raleigh is one of the less hit places. Places like DC and even Charlotte are going to be experiencing much worse than what we're actually seeing. So going over this a little bit, the areas hit with the deepest snow and ice should prepare for widespread down trees and power lines. About 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch of ice will bring down trees and power lines. So you can expect some power outages throughout North Carolina. So plan accordingly. Have plenty of candles, flashlights, everything, food, water. You might be without power for a bit regions. And again, it's going to be fairly gusty Friday into Friday night once this low pressure system passes, and combined with heavy sinking trees due to that ice, it can fall. And like I said, it's a life-threatening storm. You don't need to be out on the road anytime tomorrow. It's going to deteriorate very, very quickly and become a very dangerous situation. So just be sure, stay inside. You still have time tonight to get whatever necessities you need before the storm actually comes in. We'll talk a little bit about this storm. The biggest contributor to this storm being very dangerous is going to be the freezing rain. So first, let's explain the possibility of freezing rain. We don't want to talk about exact numbers, so we'll talk in terms of probability. So this is actually from the Weather Prediction Center. It just came out, and it tells us in terms of probability. You can see that chart on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I'll select how much freezing rain will actually receive up to. You can see that on that right corner right there. So let's just say about 1/100 of an inch of ice, and that's still a lot. And you can see that Raleigh, Durham, especially Charlotte, are within 80% chance that probability that we're going to receive at least 1/100 of an inch of ice, and going up to 1/10 of an inch of ice. And this is still fairly significant. Raleigh is still around 60 to 70% probability that we're going to see accumulating freezing rain of greater or equal to 1/10 of an inch. And this can be quite an impact. And then going further up to 1/4 of an inch, and this is, remember what I said, when trees and power lines can start to fall, we're still within the 50 to 60% range of freezing rain accumulating that much. And so we need to remain careful, because even just 1/4 of an inch to half an inch of freezing rain will freeze on impact on the ground and bring down power lines, trees, and become very dangerous for those on the road. And so be sure to stay inside. Before the freezing rain will actually come, though, we're going to have a period of some snow. And so let's see how much snow we're actually going to get using the same tool. And so this is, again, probability. You can see the probabilities on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, we'll select up to an inch. And you'll see that Raleigh isn't expected to get too much. It's only within the 50 and 60 range probability of getting snow accumulating up to an inch. And I'll explain a little bit further why we're not expecting too much. And even going up to 2 inches, we're lower into that 30% probability of accumulating greater than 2 inches of snow. And so this is mainly going to be a snow, ice, sleet, and rain event. It's going to be fairly complicated, and so we'll go through all of them right now. So this is the HRRR. It's just one of the models that forecasters use, and this is simulated radar over the next, I believe, 12 hours. So you can see this low pressure system moving into the area, and you can see the time in that top right-hand corner. The timing of this system, especially in terms of snow and sleet, start coming into the triangle area around 7 o'clock. You can see it right there. One thing I want you to notice is that the line between the deep blue and the purple, that's designated blue is snow and the purple is mixed. So whether that's sleet or freezing rain, you can see it just barely goes past Raleigh, RDU in just a matter of moments or hours in this case. And so we're not going to experience too much in terms of snow before it switches over to freezing rain and sleet. And let's talk about freezing rain and sleet just for a little bit. So freezing rain is much worse. I apologize for that. Freezing rain is much worse than sleet, because sleet is just frozen pellets of ice that can fall off of roofs, they can fall off trees, they can fall off power lines. They're ice pellets, so they fall immediately to the ground. That's to say they're not dangerous. They can melt and refreeze on the pavement and create slush or even black ice. So they're still dangerous, but not as dangerous as freezing rain, which can bring down those power lines. What this doesn't show you is how it will switch back to rain later in the day after that freezing rain goes down. And so the main thing that we're not completely sure, because honestly the devil's in the details of winter storms, is when and how long this freezing rain is going to stay in Raleigh and eventually switch over to rain, because freezing rain actually is limited by itself. It warms up the surface as it falls and freezes on the surface, and the warmer that surface gets, eventually it can get to 0 degrees Celsius, or our freezing point, and become rain. So once it hits that freezing point, if there's no more cold air at the surface, it will become rain. So it's just depending on how cold our surface gets by tomorrow afternoon, morning, depends on, or will show how much rain we actually get and how much freezing rain we get. So let's show one more thing. I want to go back to this, and then I'll be sure to take your questions. So if you haven't already, go ahead and go in the chat on the YouTube link and type in any questions that you might have. I'll do my best to try and answer them. So the National Weather Service has actually already put out winter storm warnings for much of the area. The governor has already called a state of emergency for the state. It's going to be a very significant storm. You can see that Raleigh is under a winter storm warning, and they might have said a little bit better than I have in picture detail to when this wintry precipitation will come in. So it's going to begin tomorrow morning, crossing the Raleigh area right after 6 and into 7 a.m. And this is going to be, again, snow. It will snow for a while, switch over to sleet, then sleet goes into freezing rain, and then eventually rain. But the snow and wintry precipitation will begin around 7. You can see this, and this is their simulated precipitation amounts. And you can kind of see it slowly moving in. There's Rocky Mount, snow and sleet around 3 a.m., moving towards Rocky Mount and Raleigh by 7, snow and sleet expected in Raleigh. And then 10, you can see that the sleet is prevailing in Raleigh, so there's only going to be a few hours of snow before that sleet moves in. And then by 1 p.m., we'll see a switch over to freezing rain, which should remain for the rest of the day until the large system moves out and we get another breath of cold air, which might bring in some snow for late tomorrow and into Saturday. So with that, I will take you, and I think that's everything. Nope, we have one more thing for you to see, and then I'll go over the impacts again and how to prepare. So this is one of the models that we use. This is 6-hour average precipitation rate in inches per hour, and you can see, if I can zoom in, there we go. And this is the 12-hour snowfall, and it just kind of shows what I said. Different models show different things. This shows about 2 to 4 inches in Raleigh, and we don't want to give any exact numbers, so we'll give a range, and this is fairly consistent with others that have said around 2 to 4 inches in Raleigh, and then up to 1/4 of an inch of ice on top of that. So it should be a fairly significant day. Stay safe out there, and if you have any more questions, feel free to talk to me. Chat's right there, or post it in the YouTube or Facebook links. But I'll be online answering some questions just for another few minutes or so. Be sure to follow NCSU Weather for more updates, and if you have any winter pictures that you want to share, go ahead and shoot them to us tomorrow, and we'll be sure to post them. And if you have any more updates, feel free to follow us, and we'll be sure to update you, especially with more wintry precipitation coming in on Saturday, and that's going to be mainly in terms of snow. Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them right now. I'll be on for just a few more minutes looking at the models. Thanks, guys.